อรหัตตาสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ From the very beginnings, I would like to pay my homage to the most valuable triple gems, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and also I would like to pay my deepest respect to the most venerable Iddhimuni Mangsang Nyanasaro, the president of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, Venerable Vice President Panyapati Pao Patsupal and Potanyano Heng Sitong, Venerable Board Director Kate Sapano Praisaran, Venerable President, Vice President, and the members of CBMS. Especially here, I would like to respect to the most distinguished guest speakers, the most venerable Mahamangalajjotto, Soeung Vuthy, and our co-moderator, Venerable Satthamuni Sompanya, and the Venerable Theavy, the moderator of CBMS, of the Buddhasasana program. And good evening and good morning to all lay people around the globe. Today is Saturday, 23rd, 2021 in USA and 24th in Cambodia. Our program today is the Buddhasasana program, will be delivered by our moderator and distinguished guest speakers on the topic and introduction to Buddhism. But because of this is the first broadcasting of our program in the year 2021, our program, our schedules will be general information about CBMS, will be preached by our most venerable president. Information about the committees of propagations and publications by Venerable Satthamuni Sompanya. And then the program will handle to the most venerable Theavy to present the questions to our speakers in order to discuss about Buddhism, that we have selected the first topic and introduction to Buddhism in general view. So now I would like to invite and give the opportunity to our most president, the Venerable Iddhimuni Mangsang, the president of Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society, to present the general information of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society. Please.
Good evening. My name is Iddhimuni Mangsang, Abbot of Wat Munistara, Minnesota, USA. I am president of Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society. May I first pay homage to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. May my high respect be with all venerated Buddhist monks, speaker, moderators. I salute with high appreciation all devoted Buddhists who constantly support our organization and Buddhasana program. Once again, it is my privilege to come up here at this occasion to preside over the session. Of the of the Buddhist educational program set forth by the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA. As always, I am so grateful to all venerable monks for their perseverance to make the Cambodian Buddhist Society and always, so I am so grateful all venerable monks for their perseverance to make our aim of our mission a success and beneficial for the Buddhist communities and for human beings. No doubt, the education of Buddhism is broadly needed in the face of the actual world issues, such as the falling of moral responsibility and the lack of mindfulness. One should remember that before educating people with subject of Buddhism, first begin by acknowledging the challenging tasks that lay ahead, expecting the comfortability of this matter would yield nothing but failure. Please allow me to remind you about actual note. Once upon a time, we all agree that while a handful of our Cambodian Buddhist community experience the growth, although do not we all agree on the need to raise moral responsibility to equate and facilitate the growth across the board. While we have seen some success, a lot more is still at the center of our concerns. We need to be mindful about educational approach because without it, the lack of discerning the subject of the growth will arise and our success cannot be well. By this, I focus on pursuing on Dhamma education. Nevertheless, our venerable monks, a member of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, have proven that they are well aware of such difficulty and have overcome it tirelessly. We have a toolbox with plenty of tools. Many of members are themselves highly educated. Their enthusiasm and motivation are indeed the appreciative resources. From the outset of the establishment of our CBMS USA, we set aim at propagating Buddhism to all community to simple reason, promoting the discernment of right view, toward Dhamma for the sake of peaceful existence for each individual and for the whole society. We have come to long way and we have noted to remarkable development. Initially, we plan to organize big annual in-person gathering to serve the purpose of the Buddhist educational program. Besides our periodical online Buddhasasana program, but on the wake of COVID-19 coronavirus, the plan has been suspended indefinitely thanks to the technological aid of our monk members. We are continuing our program through video meeting without interruption. I could not be more grateful to our venerable monks, who hold on impressive academic and high technologies. Venerable monks, devoted Buddhist followers, your commitment to support the CBMS USA and your faith in this educational program are so beneficial, not only the Cambodian compatriot, but also to all mankind. May this fruitful merit lead you to longevity, good health, and perfect bliss. I am happy to officially announce the opening of the floor for the Dhamma discussion, which is the content of our Buddhasasana program. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the most venerable Iddhimuni, the president of Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society, who have delivered an introductions about CBMS and the openings of our program today. So the next for the informations and the schedule for our broadcasting, for daily broadcasting or weekly broadcasting will be spoken by the most venerable Satthamuni Sumpanya. Please take your time.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to pay homage to the most valuable Tripodjam, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha as a review for well-being. I would like to pay my deepest respect to the most venerable Iddhimuni Mangsang, president of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, Venerable Panha Patipao Pat Supol, and Venerable Putinyanao Hing Sitong, Vice President of CBMS, Venerable Ketek Sao Pano Pride Saram, Board Director, Venerable Mahasangha as the President Committee, and member of various committee and branches of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, especially the most distinguished guest speaker, Samdech Dr. Sovanratana, Vice President of the Seatle Buddhist University, and maybe he will be here soon. And abode of Mangalawan Monastery is located in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Venerable Mahamangalajjotto Vuthy at Canberra, San Jose, California, and also my reverse to both moderator, Venerable Muniputo, Theavy, and Venerable Dhamasiri Chanthy, General Security of CBMS in USA. On behalf of the Committee for Propagation and Publication, and my President, Venerable Kosakau Visuddhi Yang Suchatra, I am Bhikkhu Satthamuni Sumpanya, would like to present the weekly broadcasting program of CBMS for distinguished guests and audience before starting our live conversation with an introduction to Buddhism. According to CBMS Section 5.7, Role and Duty of Committee, CBMS contains 4 committees, such as Committee for Inspection and Evaluation, the Committee for Planning, the Committee for Propagation and Publication, and for Public Relation. Among the committee, the Propagation and Publication Committee is the communication arm of CBMS. Its duty, including the production of brochure and flyer to propagate the purpose, goal, and objective of CBMS, publishing books on the Dhamma discipline and other Dhamma subject, digitizing Tesna Dhamma talk, and disseminating them on social network and at religious function, and propagating the principle of CBMS 2 months. The Cambodian and national and international organization and community. With its duty, the Committee of Propagation and Publication, as well as the Board of Directors, have scheduled weekly broadcasting program as below. 1. Monday at 9 to 10:30 a.m. weekly guest and meet with Cambodian student monk. 2. Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 a.m. study Tripedaka. 4. Wednesday at 7 to 8:30 monastery and meet with the senior monk. 5. Thursday at 5 to 6:30 Samadhi and Vipassana inside meditation. 6. Friday at 8 to 9:30 poem and smoke Khmer. 7. Saturday at 7 to 8 Buddhasasana English program. 8. Sunday at 6 to 7:30 Buddhist social dimension. As mentioned above, I am pleased to express my sincere thank you, Venerable Soksu Theavy, the moderator of Buddhasasana program today, as well as all moderators and volunteers, especially our CBMS President, Preah Iddhimuni and committee who sacrifice body and mind, day and night for prosperity of our CBMS. Finally, I wish many people nationally and internationally will benefit from this Buddhasasana program now and in the future. May all living beings be happy and free from the suffering. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, the most venerable Satthamuni Sumpanya, who presented about the weekly broadcasting program of our CBMS. That we noticed that we have 8 programs weekly, starting from Mondays to Sunday, and especially this is Saturday. The program will be delivered in English, and the program name is Buddhasasana. Buddhasasana, it is about the whole thing related to Buddhism, Buddhist culture or Buddhism in various locations, like in Cambodia, Thai, Laos, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Burma, or USA. So, according to the weekly program that mentioned by the most venerable Sumpanya, so now the time for English speaking program, we have actually two speakers. First, Samdech Dr. Sovanratana. He will join maybe later, and the most venerable Mahamangalajjotto, Seatle, Vuthy, who are presented here, will be answered the question that Venerable Soksu as the moderator will give the question related to Buddhism. So I just recall to our last year program. We also had English program, Buddhasasana program in 2020. That moderator was Venerable Kaisupia, and the most venerable Dr. Yon Sinh Yet delivered the program. But for recently, the program handed to Venerable Soksu, and we start for this new year. That's why today is the first topic that we will discuss about Buddhism in general view. So Venerable Theavy, so now you have like 45 minutes now to present the question, to handle the question to our speaker. But because here only one, if you like, maybe I can incorporate some answer or question with you. So please take your times and deliver the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venerable Samdech. First of all, I would like to pay my homage to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And also I would like to pay respect to Venerable Mahasangha around the world, and greeting our friends in Dhamma. I am Bhikkhu Muniputo Theavy, live from Seattle, Washington State, a moderator today. And welcome to Buddhasasana program in medium English. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to inform that this program brings to you by the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, presided over by the Most Venerable Preah Iddhimuni Mangsang, the abbot of Wat Munisataram in the state of Minnesota. This program purposefully aims at propagating the Buddha's teaching to those who do not understand Khmer language, and also to disseminate Buddhism locally and internationally, to promote peaceful and mindful living through the Buddha's teaching, to build social harmony among people of all faiths, to uphold and propagate Buddhism, along with Khmer culture among Khmer Americans, especially the youth. As today is the very first version of our Dhamma talk in English for the year 2021, we are very honored to present to you a very interesting topic entitled An Introduction to Buddhism. So the reason why we decided to start off with this topic is because Buddhism is a religion that is being practiced worldwide. It is believed that as many as over 535 million people around the world practice Buddhism, which would represent between 8% and 10% of the world's total population. Therefore, I truly believe that it will be very helpful to bring this topic into discussion so we can learn more about Buddhism and its practices relevant to the modern lifestyle. With that being said, we may wonder what Buddhism really is. Is Buddhism truly a religion, a philosophy, or a way of life, and so on? Why Buddhism? What is the story behind it, and what has the Buddha taught? And where does Buddhism lead us to? All this speculation will be enlightened by our Dhamma speakers today. And again, it is such a great privilege to have invited two Dhamma speakers to join with us today. But we have not seen Most Venerable Samdech Dr. Sovanratana as yet. Maybe some problem with the technical issue. So anyway, I just would like to introduce our speaker here today. First, we have Venerable Mahamangalajjotto Seatle Vuthy, who currently resides at Wat Camararam, San Jose, California. And Venerable graduated master degree in Buddhist philosophy from the International Theravada Buddhist Missionary University, Myanmar. And he also used to be a lecturer at Preah Buddhist University in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And so Venerable Samdech Chanthy is also here, so he will be helping us in answering the question. So Venerable is also a graduated scholar from Sri Lanka in master degree. So it's a great pleasure for us to have both Venerable will be answering the question that I will raise in a moment. So without further ado, let me start off with the very first question to Most Venerable Seatle Vuthy. So the question is somewhat around introduction to Buddhism in general view. We want audience to really understand what Buddhism really is, and how do you define the term Buddhism to your understanding? Is Buddhism a philosophy, a religion, or what do you call a Buddhism? Or how how do you define the term Buddhism? Please, Bhante. I cannot hear you, Bhante, sorry. Bhante, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Unmute the mic, please.
Okay, you hear me right now? Yeah. First of all, I would like to pay homage to the triple gems. That is the Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha, and the Buddhist monk. And also would like to pay my respect to Venerable Mahathera Nuthera, who work for CBMS in America, who have to promote and propagate Buddhism, both in Khmer language and in English. And also would like to say thank you to all listeners or audience who like to follow up our programs as well. And just now, we also have a discussion, and Venerable Theavy also raised some question to me. I think that is also a good question. A good question, there should be good answer, right? And first, we would like to know the introduction to Buddhism. Buddhism has very large meaning actually. Buddhism is really different from other religions for many aspects. Like if we talk about other religions, it's binding to God, you know, it's like Latin word say religio, and it's message of God. Already define your life. The belief in religion is like a dogma. You cannot ask to clarify something that is right or wrong when you have doubt. There is something that taught in other religions. So it means that other religion, they taught us, and as you are taught or told, you have to obey the idea of the teachers like that. But Buddhism is not included as such kind of religion. Buddhism is actually a way of life for people to practice to gain their purpose of life. So in Buddhism, we are taught. And when we are taught, we have to learn to realize the truth, to get the truth done. And you also can ask to clarify your opinion or doubt, but you have something to ask or to know like that. It's not a kind of dogmas like in other religions, right? And the word Buddhism is something for the enlightened person, you know. We call in our Khmer Buddhasasana. Buddha means the one who got enlightenment. Sasana means advice or information. And if we say briefly, Buddhism means the advice of the Buddha. So after he got enlightenment, he delivered many discourses, and all are grouped in the three Pitaka, that is a discipline, the discourses, and the profound teaching that is called Abhidhamma, like that. All are advice of the Buddha, and it is written in the Tripitaka. And what he was taught and whatever they have written to keep his word in the Tripitaka book, we can learn, study, and practice, and whatever we have doubt, we can ask. We have freedom to ask, not like in other religions. So if you study and you don't know the truth, you have doubt, you can ask. we can say that Buddhism is a religion of freedom, justice, because it gives value to human beings. It's a religion or something that origins on earth, not from heaven. Buddhism is centered on human-centered, not God-centered. So whatever the Buddha taught, it's very valuable for our lives in this world. Not just only for Buddhists, but all non-Buddhists as well. Yes. First, I would like to give very brief introduction, and I also would like to give the opportunity to Venerable San Chanthy to add something if you have more idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pontes. That's very interesting where you raised the point that Buddhism does not concern something which is called dogma or blind belief. You know, in Buddhism, we're not taught to believe, but we are taught to think and investigate whatever we are not sure, we are not clear. We have to ask, we have to inquire more, learn more, and investigate more and practice more so that we can really understand the essence of the Buddha's teaching. And so you have raised a lot of points where you compare that it is not a God center, it is within our reach as a human being, because Buddhism praise the value of the effort of our human nature. We have the ability to attain enlightenment, not because of we worship any other God or any other external force. So Venerable San Chanthy, do you have any word to add to that? What do you think Buddhism really is? You're mute. You're mute.
Thank you very much, Venerable Theavy. As mentioned by Venerable Mahamangalajjotto, Soeung Vuthy, one may understand about the Buddhism really in general. But to know clear about the word Buddhism, I just add a short, literally, Buddhism comes from two words, Bud and ism. Bud or Buddha, it means the enlightened one or excited one or waker, one who wake from sleep, one who discover from the darkness of ignorance. It is called Buddha. And ism is like Venerable mentioned before as teaching or advice or declaration. So Buddhism combined together means the teaching of the Buddha. And the teaching of the Buddha, that the Pali word said Buddhasasana, the teaching of the Buddha. So we have to know who the Buddha is. And I said that the Buddha is the enlightened one, or one who awake, or one who discovered, or one who opened from the very dark to the light. And Buddha was either ordinary people, ordinary men, or supernatural beings. If we look at to the discourses of the Buddha in various sutras in Majjhima Nikaya or in Samyutta Nikaya, the word Buddha that the Buddha mentioned by himself, there are 3 points that the Buddha mentioned himself as the Buddha. Because Brahmin, I think you know the word Brahmin. The Brahmin is the Hindu's teacher or Hindu's advisor or Hindu's deliver the teaching of Hinduism. So Brahmin approached the Buddha and asked the Buddha whether you are God or you are a living being or you are something else. But the Buddha said, no, I'm not a God. I'm not a supernatural beings. So you are ordinary people, ordinary men. The Buddha said, no, I'm not an ordinary, but I am a Buddha. The Buddha said by himself, apinyayang apinyatang, bhavita panja bhavitang, pahata pang behinang me, tasma buddhomi brahmana. The Buddha said, apinyayang apinyatang, it means I realize what should be realized in the world. Bhavita panja bhavitam, that means I have cultivated, I have trained what should be trained. Pahata panja pahinang me, I have abandoned, I have destroyed, I have get rid of all what should be get rid of, all defilement. Tasma buddhomi brahmana. Because of that, meaning, oh Brahmana, I am a Buddha. So Buddha, that in such that case, he realized the universal law. He trained every skill, and he abandoned all defilement and back action. This is Buddha, and his teaching combined together become one word, Buddhism. It means Buddhasasana, or Buddhism means the teaching of those who realize, cultivate, train, and abandon all the bad things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Phante Samyanthy, for giving a very great detail. I think it's very helpful for all of us who really seek to understand the real meaning of Buddhism, as Venerable has presenting that Buddhism comes from the word Bud, which means the awakened one, somewhat refers to the advice of the awakened one. You also talk about that Buddha was not a god, was not any supernatural being, but he was an enlightened one, the awakened one who awakes from the darkness of ignorance and who have got the light of enlightenment. So based on this, I believe that our audience got more insight and have a clear understanding of what Buddhism really is, because Buddhism is not based on any other external force or any other supernatural power, but all center on human effort for their own liberation. And some people may say that Buddhism is a philosophy, is a religion or way of life. But just to clarify on this point, that if we refer Buddhism as a system practice which binds to God or worship any external power, then Buddhism is not a religion in that sense. But if we talk about the teaching of the Buddha that guides us to liberation, and that is very much the true meaning of the word Buddhism itself. But I just would like to ask another question in relation to what both of you have delivered, that Buddhism is about the teachings of the Buddha. So what is the main teaching of Buddhism? Can you give an overview of the core principle that is given in his teaching? Please, Venerable Vuthy.
Okay, thank you for your question to me. Actually, whatever the Buddha taught, he taught very in detail, but we cannot talk all what he preached, right? And the main purpose of Buddhism, or we call the action of Buddhism, is just to relieve suffering and to gain happiness. In order to obtain that kind of thing, we need to follow three kinds of principles, or we can say three advice of the Buddha. The Buddha said sappapapassa karanang, not to do all evil things. Kusalaso pasambata means to cultivate or to do what is good. And the last ones, to purify your mind, means that citta prayata panang. This kind of three advice are very essential for Buddhism. So if any foreigner asks you, what religion do you believe? You can say, oh, I am Buddhist, I believe in Buddhism. And if they ask you, what is the Buddha taught? You should just answer this short question with the three advice that the Buddha expounded. Not to do evil, to do what is good, and to purify your mind. The Buddha said not to do all evil, means the evil that is big or small. So we need to avoid all. And to do what is good. You know, the word good, it's easy to say, but not easy to practice or not easy to do, you know. Some Western philosophers say that the person who do good is a little bit stupid. They say like that. But in Buddhism, to do good is very valuable, very meaningful. As I said earlier at the program, I said that some people, they don't know what is good, what is bad, what is suffering, what is happiness. They just know it, but not not deeply, just superficial, like that. But I am interested in Rahula Sutta. You know, the Buddha gave his advice to Rahula, his son. He said that, oh, my son, whatever action that you do, and it brings happiness to you, but it brings suffering to others, you should not do it. And whatever action that you do, it brings happiness to others and bring suffering to you. You also should not do it. And it is not good action. And whatever action that you do, it brings happiness to both of you, to you and to the other person, then you should do it because this is a good action. So the good action must be good for both, both the doer and the other person who received the action that we do. Yeah, so we need to know that. And the last one in his advice, the Buddha said, Saccata Prayata Panang, it means to purify your minds. Usually our mind is very pure at the beginning when we are born as a young child. But when we grow up, our minds have defilements, such as greed, hatred, delusions, covetousness, envy, and so on. So our minds start to be polluted. It's not pure as before. So the Buddha said that need to purify your mind. And what is the tool which is used to purify our minds? In Buddhism, we have two kinds of concentration. We call tranquility meditation and insight meditation. Or if we say in simple word, we call vipassana. Yeah, that is the good one. To use it to purify our mind, we need to study the teaching of the Buddha. At least we should know the three kinds of characteristics, that is impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And also we should know the 5 aggregates and the 4 noble truths and the 12 independent origination, or 12 dependent origination. When we have that kind of knowledge, we can go to practice meditation, because it's enough for us to understand what the Buddha taught. You know, some people, they ask, before I go to practice meditation, what Dhamma should I know? Some teachers just gave the answer that you just know the 3 characteristics, the 4 noble truths, and 12 independent origination, the 5 aggregate, then you can go to practice meditation. No need to know so much. You can do that. It doesn't matter. And in Buddhism, I think the best thing is to purify our minds. If we just study, we understand, and we don't practice it, we cannot make our mind pure. We cannot gain any action from Buddhism. So the final goal in our studying and practicing Buddhism is to free our minds from suffering or from defilements. In Buddhism, say that you can only have true freedom or salvation only when your mind is free from defilements. You know, as long as your minds are still overwhelmed by defilements, you will never get true freedom or true salvation. So you also cannot liberate yourself from suffering. So the best way, we should try to make our minds free from defilements first. And when we don't have defilement in our minds, we will not have suffering. We will enjoy happiness and peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for giving very insightful detail about the overview of the teachings of the Buddha here. What you have talked so far, that Buddha's teaching includes, the idea of liberation from suffering through practicing the teaching of the Buddha, like those of the 3 common characteristics or samanya lakkhana dhamma, the 4 noble truths, the 4 noble truths, ariya sajja, paticcasamuppada, dependent origination, and then the 5 aggregates, panchakanda, and the 3 summary of the Buddha's teaching, that is to not to do any bad, to do only good, and to cleanse one's mind. So this is the teaching of all the Buddha. That is very interesting for all of us to observe and learn more into detail. What Venerable was delivering is just the briefing idea of the essence of the Buddha's teaching, just the main topic that all of us should investigate more, learn more in order to understand what is the 3 common characteristics and how to practice that, and what the benefit of practicing that, especially the 4 noble truths, which falls into later the number 4 contains the Noble Eightfold Path, the way leading to the liberation, and that is very interesting. And that is the popularity known to Buddhism from the world, that they all approach Buddhism based on the teachings of the Noble Eightfold Path. In short, the Sila, Samadhi, and Panha, by practicing morality and ethical code of conduct, by practicing, developing meditation, and to enhance our wisdom, Panha, and that is a short summary of the teachings of Buddhism. But now, Venerable Samdech, do you have anything else to add on to that question, please?
Thank you very much again. I agree with 2 Venerable that mentions about the common sense of Buddhist teaching, like the 3 common teaching, that mentioned, and all the factors of enlightenment that you have delivered, like Four Noble Truths or the Eight Noble Paths or 3 characteristics of Buddhism or dependent origination. And especially when we say about the essence of Buddha teaching, we never forget about the 37 keys of enlightened factor that we call Bodhipakkhiya Dhamma. That is very essence of Buddhism if we say in whole. But if we look at some various points, like Buddha at his last voyage, he said, Appamato amatang badang. It is also, carelessness is also the main sense of Buddhist teaching also, if we say in one. And also in Satipatthana Sutra, the Buddhas mentioned ekayano ayam bhikkhave makku. The only one way that all Buddhist practitioners should enlighten, should get rid of all suffering, is only one. What are they? What is the Satipatthana? So this is also the essence of Buddhism. And we can say in other way, in other form, because it is general use of the question. We can say in many things. But I think you all comment to the Magha Puja. Related to the Magha Puja that's coming in the Thursday, coming Thursday, we related also to the essence of the Buddha's teaching, like the Venerable Assaji, one among 5 ascetic Panjavaki, have answered the question that asking by Upatissa Sariputta, the marshal of the Dhamma. Upatissa asked Assaji, what your teacher teach, or what your teacher usually preach. And Assaji Thera delivered a short stanza, Ye Dhamma Hetupapava. Ye Dhamma Hetupapava. So, Ye Dhamma Hetupava Tesang Hetom Tathagato. The Tathagata, or the Buddha, or my teacher, said or teach what related to the cause and effect. So, which is delivered from which? So, the Buddha said the cause of that thing, that origination, that the compounding. And this is the teaching of the Buddhas. Cause and effect is very important. And cause and effect, as mentioned by Venerable Seatle Vuthy, it is the 12 dependent origination. That's why in Abhidhamma Karika of Venerable Nagarjuna, he said about his teaching, he said that our Lord Buddha said or teach about 12 dependent origination or pratitya samuppada, but I am in the same way I mentioned about Sunyatavada. Sunyatavada means Madhyamika philosophy discuss about the cause and effect. Nothing stay independently. So they have to relate it to each other. So when we understand the cause and effect, it is the Buddha's teaching that we want to share. We want to, we have to understand. Because everything happened because of something else. It cannot happen without any cause. Cause and effect that I want to mention is the essence of Buddhism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhante Chanthy. That was very wonderful and well put, the way you presented and added on concerning with the main essence of the teachings of the Buddha in which you included the 37 Bodhipakkhiya Dhamma, or the 37 factors of enlightenment. I think for audience who are listening right now, you may need to write down just the main idea of, just the main title of the Buddha's teaching, so that you can research more on that, because that is very, great strategy or great way in order to gain liberation from suffering. We all want to be free from suffering. We all want to gain happiness. Why not we try to understand about the Buddha's teaching based on the strategy he provided here, the 37 ways of awakening or enlightenment. And then you also mentioned about the last word of the Buddha, that is heedlessness is the way to deathlessness, or mindfulness is the way to deathlessness, amata dhamma. And also you raised about the 4 satipatthana, the 4 establishments of mindfulness based on body, feeling, dhamma, and the mind, which we have to contemplate on a daily basis. That is very much focus or emphasizes by the Buddha, that he said this is the only way for the purification of all beings. This is the only way to get rid of sorrow and lamentation, and to attain the true liberation, which is the state of unbinding nibbana. And another very interesting point that most of Buddhists believe in, especially our Cambodian community, as we have the saying that we all believe in karma. If we do bad, we receive bad. If we do good, we receive good. This is the law of nature. This is the law of universe that governs the whole universe. So karma and its result is also very important to take into consideration what the Buddha taught, and which has been mentioned in the first noble truths, in the 4 noble truths as well. To have the right understanding is to believe in the cause and effect, the law of karma. So that is pretty much a crucial point of the main teaching of the Buddha. When we truly believe, the cause of our action, through what we do, it will be resulted in that for us, like we are what we were, and we will be what we are in the future. So this has shaped our way, or paved the way for us to try to avoid from doing bad, and try, keep us straight on the good way, that we try to develop more wholesome actions, meritorious deed, and also try to purify our mind. I think that is pretty much the main idea of the Buddha's teaching, that we Buddhists should dive deep into, investigate more, learn more, so that we can practice on the correct path. But I also would like to bring another question, given the time constraint. I would like to ask the last question for both speakers. So Venerable Seatle, Vuthy, when we practice through the Buddha's teaching, along what all of you have raised, a lot of points that are the core principle teaching in Buddhism, what can it bring? What's the result of practicing through the teaching of the Buddha? Can you distinguish any differences, by practicing the teaching of the Buddha? Where can it lead to? What is the ultimate goal of Buddhism, which is very unique, which is distinguished from any other religions?
Yeah. Actually, Buddhism is different or distinguished from the religion because of the Four Noble Truths and the Eight Noble Paths. In the other religion, they don't have that kind of Four Noble Truths and Eight Noble Paths. If they have just not complete, just some point in that Dhamma. And you also mentioned when we practice Buddhism, and how should we get from our practice, or to get the final goal in our practice like that. Venerable Samdech also mentioned earlier, he talked about sati, mindfulness, that is also one aspect in Buddhism. And you also mentioned just now, heedlessness is the way to death, right?
Deathlessness, yeah.
Yeah, deathlessness. And mindfulness is the way to Nibbana. It's different direction. If you have heedlessness, it will lead to death. For example, even though we are alive, but we lack mindfulness, we are not careful, we don't care about anything, we don't do anything. Even though we have hand, we have leg, but we don't do anything. It's like a cripple, you know, disabled person. You cannot do anything. So it means you like already that person because you are hatefulness person. And in Buddhism, the Buddha said, mindfulness is the way to Nibbana. When you practice mindfulness, it is only one way to liberate yourself from suffering and finally attain Nibbana. It's really, I think so. You can see in the teaching of the Buddha, even Eightfold Noble Paths also have mindfulness there, sati. When any person lack of mindfulness, at that time he's like crazy person, you know, and he can talk in wandering speak, not knowing right or wrong like that. It's like crazy person. And anyone who lack mindfulness while they are doing something or driving the car like that, they also meet danger because they are not careful, they are not mindful in their action. But mindfulness here is referred to right mindfulness, means samasati. In the practice of insight meditation, when we have mindfulness, like right mindfulness here, we practice meditation, we focus our minds on only one object. Like in Buddhism, the Buddha prefers mindfulness of breathing, in anapanasati. He taught the way to disciple. If you want to liberate yourself from suffering, to attain Nibbana, you should practice this meditation, mean mindfulness of breathing. And we can practice by just sitting and focus our mind on the in-breaths and out-breaths who come through our nostril or touch on our upper lip here. We just try to focus our mind and note on this in-breath and out-breath for about 50 minutes or 30 minutes. Then our mind will be peaceful. You will enjoy happiness. Because when we practice meditation, we stop to think about everything, but just focus our minds on one object of meditation, that is the in-breath and out-breath. If we cannot concentrate our mind on the one object of meditation, our mind will be wandering here and there. If our mind is still wandering, we cannot know the real peace, real happiness. Suffering still inflicts our minds. But if you know how to use your mind, focus your mind just on the subject of meditation, and don't let your mind wander here and there, then you can enjoy peace at the same time. No need to wait for any things in the future. You can enjoy peace and happiness right now, just the present moment, you know. And why the Buddha said mindfulness is the way to the final goal of Buddhism, that is samamodam, or we call Nibbana. Yeah. Nibbana is samamodam, or final goal of Buddhism. Nibbana is free from all kinds of suffering. So if you want to get rid of all kinds of suffering, you need to practice mindfulness until you attain Nibbana. It's not easy to practice, but it's easy to say, you know, this point. But the Buddha said that if you just use mindfulness every moment, don't like any second or 1 minute, don't let you yourself like of, don't make yourself like of mindfulness even a second, a minute, or hour, and so on. You need to have mindfulness all the time. When you have mindfulness on your meditation subject, at the time greed, hatred, and delusions, covetousness, envies, and also ill will thought will not arise in your mind, you know. And when these defilements have no chance to arise in your mind will be free, peaceful, your mind will be pure. And when your mind is pure, peaceful, you can enjoy real happiness. It like at the same time your mind have no defilement like greed, hatred, and evil thought, and so on. So when your mind don't have that kind of defilements, it's like you see Nibbana in the right way, because you can enjoy peace a little bit while you are practicing it, right? But if you practice further in detail a long time, until you destroy all kinds of defilements and uproot it, or at the time you are said you attain Nibbana, you know, because you can totally uproot greed, hatred, and delusion. Especially this kind of defilements are very strong. No one can get rid of it easily. Only the Buddha or Arahant person who practice until attains the highest state of Dhamma, that he can get rid of this kind of three defilements. And he attained the Buddhahood or become the Arahant person. Arahanta means the one who destroys all defilements. Yeah. And the Buddha, the enlightened one person, or the awakened one person, he awake from the darkness of the ignorance that is referred to these three defilements. He get rid of these three defilements. Then he got the knowledge. He got inside knowledge. Then when he got inside knowledge, he become enlightened person. His eye become very bright. He can see both near and far direction, both in the past and the future as well. So it's really good, you know. And when the Buddha also get rid of all kinds of defilements and factors in his life, he attained Nibbana. First, he attained Kilesa Nibbana, means the extinction of defilements, mental defilements like that. He attained Kilesa Nibbana. So he really enjoyed peace in his life. Even though he is alive, he have happiness. Especially he have no mental suffering like us. For us, we are ordinary person. We don't attain the highest state of the Dhamma or get rid of defilement yet. We have both mental and physical suffering. But for the Buddha, he has physical sufferings, sometimes. But he did not have mental suffering like us, because his mind is pure, no defilements. That's why he always enjoy peace and happiness, not suffer like us. It's a good thing to do, to practice and to follow his footsteps, you know. It means if you can practice until you attain Kilesa Nibbana, that is also very good for your life as a Buddhist. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Pante. That is pretty much detailed what you have mentioned so far. So I don't want to repeat it again. I just would like to move on to Venerable Sam Chanthy, if he has anything to say on to that concerning with the ultimate goal of Buddhism. So Venerable Chanthy, you know, is ultimate goal of Buddhism can be achieved in this present life, or can it be achieved only up the life after, only after we die? Because if we look at the statement that says the goal of all religions in the world, that is to, you know, leading people to peace and happiness. So do you see any differences, you know, between the goal of Buddhism or the peace and happiness in Buddhism, which is different from other religions concerning with this question so far?
Thank you very much again. It is very common for the religious practitioner, not only Buddhist people, but also the religious follower around the world. They actually believe that after that, they will go to live with their God or their guru, their teacher, or the Buddha. And in Buddhism also, you know, when we say, especially the Dhamma talkers, say that if you do a good deed, you practice, follow the Buddha footprint, you will go to see the Buddha, that he waiting us in Nirvana. Yeah, so we will go to live with the Buddha, something like that. It usually in Cambodian tradition also. It is like in our Northern Buddhism that we call Mahayana. They say it's about the final salvation or final goals of Buddhism, to live with Amitabha Buddha. That the Buddha was dwelt in Sukhavati, or the Buddhakshetra, the kingdom of the Buddha, like we watch as a young watch the stories of Tangje, Wukong. So we will see the exact thing that the Mahayana Buddhist goal have mentioned in the Buddhakshetra or Sukhavati, that all the practitioner will enlighten and become a Buddha to live in Buddhakshetra, the province or the kingdom of the Buddha. But in Theravada Buddhism, we actually have written about that word, that we say Sukati. Sukati means, Su means very good or
happy state. We call happy state or happy destination.
Yeah. And Kati means going. So Sukati, going in the right way. But we translate in our Cambodian language that it like supreme state that we are going to. But there is no space, no state, no realm of Nirvana. Nirvana is just perceived by individually, by ourselves. We don't find Nibbana in another existence. In another existence, there is no Nibbana. Nibbana you bring Nibbana into yourself. That mentioned by Venerable Seatle Vuthy, if you dispels the defilement like lobha, greed, dosa, hatred, and moha, delusion, all of this all of this defilement that you dispel from your mind, then you perceive the cease, the peaceful. That is Nibbana that you bring to yourself. That we can say Kilesa Nibbana, that get rid of all defilements. And what is very distinguishes Buddhism from other religions? All other religions have their final goal in Brahma world or in heaven or in some other states. But Buddhism just only bring peace to ourselves. That's why when somebody asks us, why you do good thing, practicing Buddhism, what you gain? To practice Buddhism, we gain nothing. Practice Buddhism, we lost. We don't gain anything, but we lost. What we lost? We lost anger, we lost hatred, we lost envy, we lost raga, we lost hostility, we lost defilement. To cease, to uproot all the defilement is the goals of Buddhist practicing. If you don't get rid of a little bit bad thing, you did not experience Buddhism yet. So to be a good Buddhist, you have to train yourself, body and mind to be far from bad things. That we mentioned the essence of Buddha's teaching, Sappapapasyakarana, Kusalasu Basambada, Sachitta Priyotavanang Etang Buddhasasana. That is how to practice. When you practice, you are far from defilement, you are close to goodness, and you pursue Nibbana. In other religions, they have the knowledge of like Chatutopapatanyana, those who understand, who see the previous birth or see the being go from existence to existence, but they don't find the Nibbana, Asavakayanyana, the knowledge of cease of defilement. This is very distinguished from other religions. And the final teaching of the Buddha in Mahaparinibbana Sutra, the Buddha mentions about the monk. There are 4 monks or 4 recluses in Buddhism that never existed in other religions. So, Patimaka, Svanami, Anagami, and Arahant. Those 4 people or 4 recluses never exist in other religion because other religion never have the 4 noble truths. If there is no, there are no 4 noble truths in any religions, there are no these 4 kinds of beings also. That's why to be a Buddhist, you have to practice. You have to be far from bad thing. I just give short example. No, now the time is more now. Sorry, the time is up now. But I just give short example for myself. When I was a novice, just maybe a month after my ordination, the temple boys, they are the same age of me. He already disturbed me when we have lunch or breakfast in front of many people, you know. In many of people, he disturbed me very much. From day to day, I was be very patient. I never say anything. But many times occurred to me, then I yelled to him. And then many people look at me because many people at that time. Only that time, when I did my lunch and I went back to my hut, these small huts that we live in the village, I think that I am a Buddhist monk right now. If I still angry with those such person, that not a monk. Because to be a monk, we observe 10 precepts, we practice the Buddha's teaching, we learn the Buddha's teaching, we still have anger, we still have mistake. And he just only the temple boys, he learned nothing. So he did many things bad because of ignorance. So if I hate him, if I angry with him, I also the worst, very bad than him. So that's why I commit myself not to angry, not to catch a mistake of all those who such a lay people. So that is just only thing that Buddhism teach us. To be Buddhist, we have to control our mind. Even though we cannot control momently, but we start little by little. We will reach our goal as nirvana or salvation, that is free from all suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pante, most venerable speaker. I would like to clarify a little bit, just to correct my mistake that I say heedlessness is the way to deathlessness. Actually, it's the heedfulness. I'm sorry about that. Heedfulness is the way to deathlessness, or mindfulness is the way to nirvana. So anyway, what you all have delivered was a lot of insight and a lot of clear understanding. I think it would be enough for us to, really understand about the idea of the teachings of the Buddha. But if we just keep talking around, Buddhism, if we keep talking around the idea of Buddhism, I think we're going to spend more hours onto that. But I think the best way is to continue our show, maybe an introduction to Buddhism day 2 to the next week, so that our people can clarify some of the misconception, around the term Buddhism and the Buddha's teaching, as we may have nowadays. So anyway, just to include the section today, because of the time is over right now. So before ending our show, I would like to share merit to all living beings in the whole universe by the power of our Dhamma talk today. May all be liberated, be free from suffering, and may all live happily and peacefully right now. Also would like to thank you to all venerable speaker, venerable Seatle Vuthy, venerable Samdech, venerable Iddhimuni, the president of the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, venerable Satthamuni Panha, and venerable Thia, who is the operator for the Buddhasasana program today. And we will come back next week with a different topic in relation with the introduction to Buddhism. So I, Bhikkhu Muniputo, Theavy, live from Seatle, Washington State, would like to say thanks to all the viewers, and we wish you all the best. Sukhita, Hontu, and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.